Hi there, I'm Trixie the Golden Witch, and I've been watching a lot of Marvel lately. I mostly only ever had a passing interest in the MCU, dipping in to check out heroes that I personally liked, such as Iron Man or Doctor Strange. And I saw the first Avengers, but for a long time, as the movies got more interconnected and complicated, I was just avoiding them because I figured I would never be able to keep up with it all. After watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, though, I felt that the MCU had finally gotten to a place where it was too interesting for me not to keep up with it anymore. Can this become super scattershot and still work? And now that I'm seeing what they've been doing with all these TV shows and stuff, especially after watching Moon Knight, which I very thoroughly enjoyed, I've been catching up. I've literally been marathoning MCU movies back to back. Just watched Black Panther, so that's about where I'm at in the timeline. I've been doing it in timeline order. So I'm fairly close to caught up, though I still haven't watched Infinity War or Endgame, even though I've seen all the Spider-Man movies that came out after that. You know, I generally know where we're at in the plot right now. And also I listened to summaries of all of these movies like dozens of times when they came out because I watch every analysis video on the internet. So I was kind of vaguely aware of what was going on. But a lot of these movies were a lot better, I thought, than they had been given credit for critically. And I suspect I'm going to feel the same way about Ms. Marvel. I think a lot of people are going to be jaded to this show because it is kind of standard issue. It's a very old school type of nerdy, kind of distant main character who's like ADHD, they're in their imagination, they can't concentrate in school, spending a lot of time, you know, being a fangirl. She's a fanfic writer, a cosplayer, wants to go to Avengers Con, the very first official convention for what in this world is a real group of superheroes. And that to me is kind of instrumental in selling this character because the fact that Ms. Marvel is a big-time fangirl of Captain Marvel, I enjoyed the Captain Marvel movie. I actually appreciate Brie Larson's take on the character, although I think that the script and some of the performances that she was bouncing off of caused there to be lots of awkward moments where it didn't seem like she knew what to do with that character. So I don't think it's an amazing performance, but I like what it was going for. And so I don't not believe that there are fans of Captain Marvel, but she is one of the least popular superheroes in the MCU in real life. But in the actual context of the universe, she is the most powerful hero who showed up out of nowhere and made beating Thanos possible. And when you're thinking of that contextually as a fan of storytelling, you know, you could have your own opinions about whether you think that this was a justified decision on a storytelling level or whatever, you know, whether you're a fan of how Captain Marvel has been done. But in universe context, it makes total perfect sense for this character to be such a big fan of this person that actually exists and is really interesting and could maybe take on a sidekick or something, or have, you know, has an untold future of events and feats that they're going to accomplish. So I liked how the show sold the idea of her being a big Captain Marvel fan. The other thing about this show that right off the bat I thought made it work is that the actress playing Kamala Khan, whose name I should have looked up before I trapped myself in this green screen thing, she's wonderful. She has all these great cartoony facial expressions throughout the whole episode. She just has a very likable presence. I'd never heard of this actress before. She seems brand new. I have no idea how she was scouted, but I hope they treat her well and that she, you know, has a future of doing great characters like this. I feel like she'd be really solid in any comedy movie that was trying to do a similar tone to this. But Ms. Marvel is not quite funny. I wouldn't call it a comedy. It's just lighthearted. It's very teen, but it's so well made, and that was what compelled me to end up watching the whole thing, was just simply that even though I've seen a ton of content that's kind of like this, and it's a little bit young for my taste, it is so well constructed that I was surprised, because Disney has been handling these Disney Plus shows like they are almost like movies. It really does feel like we are in a new OVA era, Like when I think about Arcane in particular as an animated series, but Moon Knight is a perfect example of like a 6-episode OVA that feels, for all intents and purposes, like one of those unsung anime classics of the 80s. And it's really exciting to me to see these like productions on this particular level where it's not trying to do something so over the top that it requires a film budget, but it's doing whatever it's trying to do to the top level that it could try to do that. And I felt that way watching this show. I don't think all of the acting is amazing. I think the main girl is like by far outshines everybody else, especially her family members. And it's sort of not clear where the stakes are gonna go or like how intense the story might get, because the first episode, it has a extremely low stakes conflict. She ends up accidentally activating superpowers in the middle of a cosplay contest that she snuck out of the house to attend. So the main trouble is that she accidentally knocks over a giant Ant-Man head that almost crushes some people, but nobody gets hurt. Sneaks out, manages to get home, and of course gets in trouble with Mom. But that's not a circumstance I can really take seriously as an adult. So at the very end of the episode, there's a reveal that like some agency has seen this video and is going to involve themselves. So I don't know if that's going to lead to things getting darker or more serious, or if it'll be played cheekily. All that's hard to know at this point, but I'm interested enough to watch more, especially since I'm watching all the Marvel stuff anyways. I do think this is more enjoyable to me, like on a cinematic level, than a lot of the earlier stuff. Like I've gone back and watched some Jessica Jones, for instance, now, and like I think that's a well-made show, but it does feel like a well-made TV show. Whereas, like, again, Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight feel almost like movies. They feel like they're just these, you know, short film event pieces. I guess long film actually would be the way to look at it. So yeah, I appreciate the craftsmanship. I hope that the story goes in an interesting direction. I will probably lose interest if it doesn't pick up some kind of steam or make a more clear overall goal, or even just introduce more other characters. Because now that I'm deep into the MCU, I do always want to see everyone all the time. I understand why people feel that way, why you want just like, no, give me every character so I can know how all of them are doing and all of them are reacting to everything that's going on. There's always some justification for why they could be there. And especially if it's like someone obscure who has only gotten like a couple of little stints in movies or something. I don't know who would be, other than Carol Danvers, obviously, you know, being integral to this universe. I don't know who else is going to show up in Ms. Marvel, but yeah, I like it. I like what Disney Plus is doing, and I would never have probably bought a Disney Plus account on my own. It so happens that my friends let me use their login, but I've basically been trying to binge everything culturally relevant that exists on there, because I just want to know all of it. I want to understand it. I want to know why people like it. I want to know what makes it good. If you thought this episode was good, let me know why. If you thought this episode was bad, let me know why. I'm also interested to know, you know, I obviously, because I'm coming into this sort of all at once, very, like, I'm in a mode to be excited about all of it, because I just marathoned like all these movies, and the ones that aren't so good, you know, it's just in the breeze. It doesn't feel like as big of a deal if like the only movie from this series that came out in 6 months was something you didn't like. I understand why that would hurt the overall feeling as a Marvel fan, like if you went to the theater and saw one that ended up being not that great. But again, I've enjoyed a lot of them more than other people seem to. The more perspective I have on how difficult it is to actually run a production and manage a large group of people and somehow have all of them be like decent people you want to work with continually for a decade, that is very difficult. And the more I watch these movies, the more I really just have to think about how they've kept this infrastructure working and given all these goddamn great artists jobs. I know a lot of people wish that they could be doing original work on, you know, their own ideas, but it's just kind of unrealistic, and the built-in familiarity of Disney gives these people a platform to have an opportunity to do something. So I think that a lot of cool stuff has been expressed in these films that is going to reach more people than ever would have even considered thinking about those ideas if they were all trapped in indie movies no one's gonna watch, you know? So to me, this is actually a very powerful enterprise. I am really happy about all the representation. I honestly think representation is the literal point of art. You're taking something and representing it, you know? Taking stuff you know, presenting it to people. You're representing yourself and things you know. So the more people are represented, the more we know people, better we all connect. Communication is the point of art. Representation is the nature of communication. So yeah, I'm very happy about it. More like this. Thank you very much. I've been Trixie the Golden Witch. You can find more of my writing on goldenwitch.substack.com. You can also support me on patreon.com/goldenwitchfire and find me at goldenwitchfire on all the social media platforms. Catch me on the Jittery Zeitgeist Hip Hop Review Show and the more generalized New Void Gazers podcast over on the ASE Presents channel, where all kinds of exciting stuff has been happening lately. Catch me on a live stream where you can give me $5 to rant about anything. Watch my show, The Rant Room, where you can call in, rant, and then I rant about your rant. Thanks again for watching. Excelsior.